More simple but rewarding recipes like this, please. Likely, if I'm at a Thai restaurant and I'm not getting curry, the most common item that I'll order is Drunken Noodles or pad Kee Mao. It's garlicky and spicy, and those chewy rice noodles are probably the best part of this. It's pretty customizable too, as stir fries are really good dishes to clean out your fridge. Some people boast that recipes like this can be done in like 10 minutes, but I'm a little more realistic as I include setup and gathering the ingredients into the recipe time. So I say this can be done start to finish in about an hour, which is still really good for a weeknight meal. So speaking of prep, it's a well-known tactic to have all your mise en place for stir fries because of how fast the cooking process goes. That's usually just how I cook anyway, especially because I have to film everything, but it's good practice just to make sure you have everything organized and you don't forget anything. So I'm going to get all my veggies and aromatics ready, starting with this chili garlic paste. This is the base of the dish and it's what you want to taste in every bite. And this really isn't a proper Thai dish without these little Thai chilies. You can for sure get them at an Asian market, but a lot of local grocery stores sell them as well. I'm using 3 here because these are supposed to be really spicy, but I wish I used more. And the best way to release the flavor and spice from these is using a mortar and pestle or molcajete like I have. Just be careful in pounding because those seeds will go flying out. And once I get that pounded to an even paste, I'm going to add in 4 to 6 cloves of garlic. Carefully pound all that till homogenized, and this is your chili garlic paste. Next up, I'll get the rest of my vegetables prepped, which for me consists of about a half of a yellow onion, 1 medium-sized carrot, 1 head of broccoli, but Chinese broccoli or broccolini would work better, I just couldn't find it. About a half of a red bell pepper to supplement that red Thai chili color without adding more spice. A handful of Thai basil, use holy Thai basil if you can find that, and then just lime and more Thai chili to garnish at the end. I'm just cutting the onion into a small dice and then cutting the broccoli into small florets and making them pretty thin. And then cutting the carrot into sections, and then cutting those sections into planks, and then cutting those planks into matchsticks, which is called a julienne. Also cutting the bell pepper into similar small size strips like the carrot. They'll just stir fry better when they're more uniform. Finally, just picking the basil leaves off the stem, and then cutting the lime into wedges and the Thai chili into small pieces to garnish. I also have a can of baby corn, which is great to use for stir fries. It's really one of my favorite things that I rarely eat. The texture and bite of this is great, and it's really no extra work. But again, use whatever veggies you have in your fridge and pantry just to bulk this up. I'm also going to prep a protein for this dish, which for me today is a chicken breast. I'd probably opt for thigh if I didn't have so many breasts in my freezer, but it's super easy to sub in shrimp or beef or pork or tofu in this case. I'm just cutting mine across the grain into really thin strips. That shape is typical for Thai stir fries like this. It's also a good idea to soak your noodles at this point. The traditional noodle to use here is really wide rice noodles, which I could not find for the life of me even at my Asian market, so I just grabbed the widest ones that I could, but usually you can find Thai brand noodles that are meant for drunken noodles like this. Either way, you just want to get them hydrated and softened and ready for the stir fry. My package instructions said to soak these in cold water for 5 to 8 minutes, so I covered them in one of my baking pans and did that, and they were a little more softened after about 10 minutes. So I thought they were good and they would finish softening in the stir fry, but I was wrong. I should have continued to soak these until they were the texture of cooked noodles. I just didn't know and I just followed what the package said. But you'll see that mine were too hard by the time I got to the taste test. So just make sure yours are softened before proceeding. The last bit of prep we need to do is make the stir fry sauce, which is really easy. I'll put ingredient estimates below, but I don't think it's necessary to measure this. I'm doing 2 parts of oyster sauce to about 1 part each of soy sauce and then dark soy sauce. Also about 1 part of fish sauce, which is a signature flavor in this dish. And then I like to add a few sprinkles of Maggi seasoning. I've described it as a more distinctly flavored soy sauce and I love it. If you don't already have it, it's fine, but you should get it if you don't. Mix all that together and then realize you should have added about 1 part of sugar as well, so add that in. And mix that to dissolve and you have your stir fry sauce. Super simple. Now just arrange all of your ingredients at arm's length so you can add them as soon as they're ready. And then for stir frying, I have my carbon steel wok, and I've gone over this before, but I flip my gas grates over so the flames can get around the wok better. That goes over high heat, and then you add a few tablespoons of neutral oil. It won't take long to start smoking, and that's when you're ready to start adding ingredients. First, I'm going in with my chicken or whatever protein you're using. Try to break that up to maximize surface contact. I'm also hitting that with a couple of pinches of salt just so the chicken gets its own seasoning. Just keep that moving in the oil so it doesn't stick. You just want to get these Maillard reaction brown bits on them. It should only take a couple of minutes. My chicken released a little bit of water which inhibited the cooking process, but that boils off. So once it's brown to your liking, you're going to remove the meat, and then we'll bloom the chili garlic paste and let it infuse into the oil. Just continuously stir it so nothing sticks and burns. It'll get really aromatic and be done within a minute, at which point we'll add in all the onion and stir that around. This whole process goes super quick, so just never stop stirring and tossing. The onion should be nicely softened in another 30 seconds to a minute. Then we'll add in our small stir fry vegetables, which are bell pepper and carrot. Those need to soften as well, again for another about 45 seconds. Just keep an eye on things and you should feel when to add the next part, which will then be the bulkier vegetables, which for me is the broccoli and baby corn. I just let that go for another 90 seconds or so. Just manage your heat and make sure nothing is burning or smoking too much. My camera overheated and smoked too much, by the way, but I'm adding my noodles in now. And again, these shouldn't be this firm at this point. They should be soft enough, just like they were cooked. Another note, even though my wok is pretty big, I realized that I filled it up to this point. And this is only 4 servings, so you could make 1 to 2 portions at a time just to save space. That's obviously what a lot of restaurants do. Either way, just try to toss this and get everything evenly incorporated. I had to switch over to some tongs, which made things easier. This point is when you can add in your stir fry sauce as well. If you didn't measure like me, it's a good idea to add a little bit just to make sure you're not overdoing it. Just taste and see if you need to add more. I ended up adding the whole thing anyway, but it's just a good idea to taste as you go. And back in with the chicken and toss a bit more.
Get lost in the sauce as you toss like a boss.
And then finish with most of the Thai basil leaves. I just save a few for garnish. And that's a quick and easy drunken noodle, assuming that you soak your noodles long enough. But other than that, everything came out amazing, and this is just a really good dish for beginners or people that don't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. The actual cooking process goes by in a flash. The prep process takes a little longer, but it's still not forever. Certainly feasible for a family or just someone busy on a weeknight. I also love to use dishes like this as an excuse to make Thai milk tea, one of the sweetest and most refreshing drinks for summertime especially. I just buy this Pan Thai tea mix from my Asian market. I don't think the measurements need to be super accurate, but I use about 100 grams or a large handful for 8 cups of water. To make things easier, I just dump this into a double wrapped cheesecloth. It'll act as a makeshift tea bag. I use a little bit of twine to wrap that up and tie it a few times just so it stays secure. And like I said, that goes into 8 cups of boiling water for about 3 minutes. I remove that from heat and then just steep it for like 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll just strain all that off through a sieve and coffee filter and get it into the fridge. It's great to make this in advance, by the way. Then you do need to add some sugar to taste, but be aware that you're going to be adding condensed milk, which is going to have a lot more sugar. So err on the side of unsweet, but I just go with like a handful or a half cup or so. Then I serve that in a glass of ice before putting the best part in, which is the condensed milk. A couple of heaping tablespoons of this because you're treating yourself. Mix all that in and you'll see the color lighten and you'll know you're in for some amazingness. Seriously, just make this. It'll be one of the best things that you ever drink. But either way, it's time for me to get to the taste test. Really hoping my audio issues from last week's video are fixed. Just one of my favorite dishes to order at a Thai restaurant. I love the super saltiness and the spiciness of this and the chewy noodles. It all comes together beautifully. But I'm hungry, so I'm not gonna wait any longer. Cheers. Yeah, definitely kind of failed on the texture of the noodles. I should have soaked them a lot longer, but I was just following the package instructions. It's not the end of the world, but this would have been better with softer noodles. It's also not as spicy as I was expecting with 3 of the Thai chilies. I should have gone with a few more of them, but I guess sometimes they vary in spice level. But regardless of all that, the flavors are still here. Most of the textures are good. That sauce really stands through all of these other elements that were stir fried together. And then some of that spice still does come through. It's still spicy, so there's nothing better to wash down something like this with than a Thai milk tea. That always hits the spot. That's amazing. There is quite a bit of prep work involved in making stir-fry dishes like this, but if you're not filming and you have really good knife skills, then it doesn't take that long, and the stir-fry process is super fast all the time. Definitely something worth doing regularly on weeknights. It's family-friendly recipes and stuff you can make for like dinner parties and stuff like that. But yeah, aside from this noodle issue, this is one of the best things that you can make at home, so I hope this recipe can inspire you. That's gonna do it for me today though. Thank you guys for watching, be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Failure, the greatest teacher is.